uncomfortable
talk
position.
about rerun. Kamala's.
Oh, you had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No, but you mispronounce her and you also misjudge her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Have you all seen this whole kerfuffle going on in the media about the proper pronunciation of Kamala Harris's last name? I don't even know if I did it right. Please don't come to cancel me. It's not intentional whatsoever. I honestly don't know what it is. Is it Kamala? Is it Kamala? Is it Carmela? I don't know at this point. I've heard it many different ways from many different people, including from the Democratic designee herself. By the way, I call her designee, not nominee, because she didn't earn a vote in the primary season this election cycle. So while I understand the confusion from all this myself, personally, because I've dealt with this my whole life too, Berardelli is not the way it's spelled. I always tell people to pronounce my name as Yogi Berra going to a deli. Berardelli makes people a lot more at ease with saying it. And even if they get it wrong, frankly, I don't care. If a judge gets it wrong, if it's misspelled on my mail coming in, you got to see the variations I've gotten for both Gene and Berardelli and then put together. The permutations are almost endless. But this whole controversy that started on CNN, or should I say started up again on CNN, has me wondering, what's in a name? What is the big deal about the pronunciation of the Democratic designee's name, and why are so many Democrats on TV white knighting for the Democratic designee, Kamala Harris? Again, if I'm getting it wrong, don't come at me. What is the deal here with going after people for mispronunciating what is a commonly confusable name? We're going to go into all this, look into the history of this as well, because believe it or not, this isn't the first time CNN has pulled this nonsense. But before we do all that, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on the channel, you guys know what to do. You got to press that thumbs up button. Like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that's going to feed the YouTube algorithm.
Feed me, Seymour.
As always, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, even when I'm away dealing with personal stuff. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was in a car accident last week, and that's why I couldn't get to a lot of the work here on the channel. Had to deal with that, had to deal with some family issues in the past. But you guys stick with me through thick and thin, and I really appreciate it. And for all you newbies out there who may have found the channel for the first time, I hope that this video earns your subscription as we look into the latest controversy involving Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who appeared on CNN, and the pronunciation of Kamala Harris's name on that show, and how this has become a common tactic over the years from the left to attack those on the right. So like that little thing of my name saying Yogi Berra going to a deli to help pronounce Berardelli, Kamala Harris put out a video back in 2016 when she was emerging onto the national stage about how to pronounce her name, with these beautiful, precocious kids teaching us the proper pronunciation.
It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala. It's not Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
See how simple it is?
Now, you gotta admit, that was pretty cute to do that. And I think it was pretty cool for her to do it. Okay, so it's Kamala Harris, like a comma with a la at the end of it, I guess, from this video. The problem is, I don't think a lot of Americans saw this video. I've heard all of those variations that you saw, and then some, in the media throughout the years. But it's become a hot-button topic because of a recent appearance on CNN by Congresswoman Nancy Mace in a roundtable discussion about policy that seemed to degrade into, well, check it out yourself. I guess what I was trying to grasp at earlier is how this segment of CNN degraded down from a policy argument and debate into rank argument over the proper pronunciation of Kamala Harris's name that was brought on by her supporters here on the panel, because Nancy Mace didn't see fit to pronounce it the way that they thought it should be done, and they took that as being disrespectful. Take a look from the start of the segment here.
Well, if you want to talk about misinformation, we can talk about Kamala Harris's Google ads, like literally taking headlines from mainstream media and rewriting them, which should be against Google ads policies.
Did you hear that, by the way? This is Keith Boykin. He's a former Clinton White House advisor and an aide, I guess. And he's on the panel and he's talking under his breath. He said, Kamala, because Nancy Mace said, I'm getting confused myself, I'm saying it, said Kamala, like the wrestler's name, I guess. So, she said Kamala, he said Kamala. You say tomato, I say tomato. Let's just call the whole thing off. At least that's what a normal, reasonable person would do. But instead, we keep going on this theme every time Nancy Mace apparently mispronounces Kamala Harris's name.
Ah, boy, here we go.
This is what he does. He stands, he gives speeches, he takes the questions, he gives the answers. And to date, more than 3 weeks in, Kamala Harris hasn't given a single interview. She hasn't come on your program. She's not answering questions.
It's
She's not
Kamala,
giving
first
speeches.
of all. It's not Kamala. It's Kamala. And she's not yet the candidate. She's only been in office, only been the candidate for 3.5 weeks.
She's been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah, and Trump went a whole primary season without even doing a debate.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you see, he's getting more and more agitated about Nancy Mace's pronunciation of Kamala Harris's name. Again, it's like potato. We know what we're talking about here. We know who we're talking about. It's not that critical, in my opinion. And this is coming from someone who has their name mispronounced on a daily basis for the past 40 some odd years.
But wait, there's more.
No,
But-
absolutely.
And she's winning, right?
She's not winning, actually.
She's aided and abetted by mainstream media. If you saw the headline by a neighboring network a couple weeks ago, when Donald Trump came out with his no taxes on tips policy, all of the headlines on mainstream media were derogatory. Kamala Harris comes out with her no taxes.
Kamala
Harris comes out with her policies on no taxes on tips, which is Donald Trump's policy, by the way.
So you see what's going on here. The volume is increasing on this, and right now they're taking it as laughable that Nancy Mace is not going along with what they want her to say. I don't know if this is a power trip by others on the panel, or if this is truly just white knighting for Kamala Harris. I don't know why this is sticking in Keith Boykin's craw this much, but it's about to bubble over.
The polls are a statistical dead heat. You say that means that she's losing. I'm saying for Donald Trump to have already been president once and coming back with the same reruns, Donald Trump is in a very vulnerable
Talk
position.
about rerun. Kamala's.
Kamala, you had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
And then all hell broke loose.
No, but you mispronounce her and you also misjudge her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name.
That's a refusal to acknowledge her humanity.
If I purposely mispronounced your name, that would not be appropriate.
Policies are Joe Biden's policies. She owns
You're
it.
normalizing that kind of viciousness, man.
33 times.
Viciousness. They were all laughing about it. Nancy Mace was saying a joke, in my opinion, saying, I'll pronounce it however I want to, trying to, just gloss over the mistake that she's apparently repeating according to these people. But to now turn it into an attack as what you're going to see here, that's the true viciousness, in my opinion. Take a look.
But it's
She was the deciding vote, and she was the vice on Joe Biden's bill. She was 33 times the deciding vote on Joe Biden's bills in the Senate.
And let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
So now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a
BS.
racist.
That is complete
No, you don't have
BS.
to intend racism to
No.
accomplish
You are
it.
intending that I
Your
am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala
and
Harris
that is
part
offensive.
and parcel of a
Wait,
tradition of disrespect.
So let's break down what this gentleman is saying here. You don't have to intend racism to accomplish it. So she's unconsciously being racist by mispronunciating a name? I wonder if I could use that argument every time Berardelli's mispronounced. If I can say, oh, you're racist against Italians. How dare you, you ignorant slut. I can't get away with that. I don't think other people can get away with that. It's a misunderstanding. Again, I think Nancy Mace was trying to laugh it off And that's where everyone seemingly got offended by that. Whether she said Kamala, we know who she's talking about. It's not meant with disrespect. She's trying to make policy points. And these people on CNN are trying to create controversy now by implying that she's being unintentionally racist because she doesn't pronounce this name properly. Really? That's what we're going with here. You know what? To be fair, I'll let them flesh out their argument as much as they can in the clip.
Offensive,
Congresswoman,
and it's
why can't you just?
offensive.
Why
I'm
can't
not calling you a racist. I'm saying what the practice is
You
racist.
are. You absolutely are.
The practice is
Let me get
disrespecting. No, what's the
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just gibberish.
disgusting
That
is
is
your
disgusting.
disrespect of her.
Professor,
This gentleman said,
you know what?
I didn't know her name.
Disgusting
He's
to
trying
women
to do
is
it.
her disrespect of women. She doesn't know what a woman is. And if 25 years ago,
White women don't have the ability to tell black women who paid the price of blood to make this country what it is to tell them they're not real women.
I'm sorry? What does one's race have to do with their knowledge of what a woman is? This has been a hot button topic for years, since the Daily Wire documentary, What is a Woman? We've seen all this stuff. That's what she was alluding to. It wasn't anything racial. Why are we taking it to this nth degree? Why are we ratcheting up the racial temperature of this argument that heretofore hasn't really been about that? It was about the improper pronunciation of a name and sort of laughing it off or going forward in that respect. But this guy here, I think his name is Dyson. I don't really pay attention to bigots and race baiters and who they are. I know he's out there in the ether doing this sort of stuff all the time. I don't pay these sorts of buffoons no mind, but he's on TV accusing a person of being a racist because they're mispronunciating a name. Well, you know what? Keep that same energy for after the break, where we look at some clips of other people, Joe Biden, mispronunciating names of minority men and women who are aligned with him, not to mention Kamala Harris's name as well. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. So this is a compilation I put together from different clips on the Twitters, on X, whatever you want to call it, of Joe Biden fighting with different names, mostly ethnic names, of minority men and women who are Democrats. I want Mr. Dyson, Professor Dyson, whatever his title is, whoever he is, keep up that same damn energy for Joe Biden during these clips.
And Rashid Tlaib, where's Rashid? Pamela Jayapal, where is she? Patty Murphy. Eliza Slotkin. And Laura Underwood, where's Laura? Linda Greenhouse, Thomas Greenfield. And Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, under the leadership of mayors like, our mayor here. And of course, we see another first in the nomination of Ketanji. Well, you saw her. I guess you saw Justice Brown Jackson. Police Chief Murray of the Baltimore, Police Chief Murphy, Paul of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, so let's keep up that same energy here. Some of these names are not very hard to pronounce. Some of them are a little harder to pronounce. Joe Biden massacred them all. But nobody's going to call him a racist, right? Because he's wearing the right jerseys, wearing the Democratic colors. So therefore, they're not going to go at him for mispronouncing names. After all, it's feeble mind, feeble body stuff, and they can just discount it off as that, right? So they're not going to go after Joe for mispronouncing names of Democrats because he himself is a Democrat. But Nancy Mace, she's on the other team. You got to go at her. But what about when it comes to his own running mate, his own vice president? How'd Joe Biden do there?
I wanted to be the last person in the room before he made important decisions. That's what I asked Kamala.
I don't think that's the correct pronunciation. Don't tell Michael Eric Dyson. Don't tell Keith Boykin. Look out. They're going to come for you, Uncle Joe.
But as Kamala said, we're all closely monitoring the storms.
I'm telling you that maybe this is why they got him out of the race. He couldn't pronunciate names. He was making a fool of himself, and they canceled Uncle Joe. They threw him under the bus, right? Maybe that's the reason why. No, of course that's not the reason why. The reason why is that he was a bad candidate and they put Kamala Harris in there.
The buffoonery is endless.
Before I get to the final clip here to put the nail in this racist coffin here, I want to show you that this has been a tactic of CNN for a good long while. Do you guys remember this with Tucker Carlson and his pronunciation of Kamala Harris's name?
Flashback. You watched last night's show, you may recall that during the opening segment, we apparently, unknowingly, mispronounced Kamala Harris's name. It is pronounced comma, not semicolon, comma, like the punctuation mark, a la Harris. Fine. It was a mistake. But it was treated as an act of bigotry, a grave offense against the honor of a sitting U.S. senator. CNN was outraged. With all the things going on in the world today, they wanted you to know that someone out there had mispronounced Kamala Harris's name.
I want you to listen to how Tucker Carlson, the best he could do was to somehow mangle her name. Listen.
Just tell Kamala Harris what to say, and she will say it. That is the whole point of Kamala Harris.
I call him Schmucker Carlson, but it's an ethnic term, so he might not understand.
But then at the end, it's laughable because he's like, or whatever. So it's like, no, it's not whatever. It is about you having to finally face what you have done to this country, to black people, to black women. There's nothing or whatever about this moment.
End of flashback.
So you see, CNN has been at this race baiting game for many, many years. But I promised you a final nail in the coffin, and that's this clip right here from the 2020 election cycle when Kamala Harris was in a stop at Cleveland, Ohio, and this happened.
Hey, Cleveland! It's Kamala!
Hey, Cleveland! It's Kamala. So, is she mispronunciating her own name? Or could it be that there are multiple pronunciations that she finds acceptable in her everyday life? And because she has a harder to pronounce name than some others, she grants a little grace to people in the pronunciation. It's kind of what I do with Berardelli. So when it comes down to it, all that you saw from that guy Dyson and Boykin and the people on CNN, all you're seeing is petty nonsense. It's a way to try to make themselves look smarter than other people, especially Republicans and conservatives, and saying, well, this is the proper way to pronunciate Kamala, or whatever it is. Again, don't cancel me on this. It's no disrespect meant. This is more just petty tit-for-tat partisan nonsense from a couple of race baiters, in my opinion, going after a white woman on a panel because she was on CNN and isolated on that network where it's majority Democrat. And, well, you saw what happened. It's absolute stupidity. It's not going to score any points with anyone, but it is part of the silly season that is the 2024 election cycle. Notice it happened in 2020, and it's happening again in this cycle. It's almost as if it's planned this way as an attack vector before someone even opens up their mouth, right? When they hear something they don't like, even if it's not intentional, you're going to get called a racist. You're going to be called to be canceled. It's going to be controversial on the social media platforms. And it's going to be in the news cycle for a stupid reason. Meanwhile, all those policy points that were trying to be discussed on there, the polling, the Google ads, what President Trump said in his press conference, and all the other stuff that was important to voters, degraded down into a shouting match over how to pronounce a name.
From a never-ending parade of stupid.
But listen, hey, that's just my opinion on all this stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get into the comments together. And as always, like and share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. I want to hear from you about this nonsense, these shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.